So I'm a long-time S23 Ultra user, been using it since it was released, but I had the opportunity to go to Samsung headquarters in Korea to see the launch of the Z Fold 5, and I thought it was quite a sleek device, really refined is what I called it. Now, a few months later, Samsung sent me this, a brand new unit, so that I could actually have a month and a bit, 5 weeks in total, to get my first impressions and see what it's like as a daily driver. So in this video, that's what we'll be covering. Okay, hi everyone, it's going to be unboxing and doing the first impressions of the Galaxy Fold 5. I know I've done one from the Unpacked event before, but this I get to play with for the next month, so thank you Samsung Australia for sending it to me for a loan review thing. Let's get started. Okay, here we are. Here's the box itself. Like with all phones these days, it's a very sleek affair, and here we go. Here's a microphone to pick up on all the ASMR goodness. So it feels very sleek. I said this last time as well. This is the first one that feels solid and it feels compact in the hand. That's quite nice. I love the actual rails and the design and the matte black surface on the back. Can't wait to turn it on. Let's see what else is in here. Oh, here we go. You have the cable, some documentations, and the SIM card ejector pin. So I've been using this now for about 5 weeks, and I have some thoughts. I still think it's a very sleek device, and it's the first one that has no gap in between, which seems like a minor thing, but the fact that it closes flat in your hands just means that it's a lot sleeker to hold in your pocket. In a way, I've been carrying this around as well as the S23 Ultra that I'm filming on, and it almost feels like if you could take the dimensions of the S23 Ultra and shrink it down and make it more thicker. That's what it feels like you've got the same mass but in a different dimension. Because in the pocket, it's surprisingly more compact than I was expecting it to be. The front screen, now a lot's been said about the fact that it's tall and skinny, which does make it very easy to hold in one hand. It actually reminds me of a phone from years and years ago, like one of those vintage mobiles which you could hold, and it's very reachable. In my hands, I can just make it to the top of the screen, so it's still a little bit too tall, but the aspect ratio feels odd now, but it's closer to what things were back in the day. But the gorgeous inner screen is where it really shines. I do like the fact that it's wide enough that I can just hold it with my hands, like so. The crease, look, it's there. Not sure if it's visible there, but here's some shots with it visible. In the day-to-day use, I haven't really noticed it. I do notice it because I haven't been looking for it, and obviously there are ways to probably make it even less so in the future, but it's not something that's bugged me that much. As you saw in the unboxing, there weren't any accessories that came with it, and I was really worried about how robust this would be. But so far, after 5 weeks, I can't really see any scratches on there, and the hinge has been fine, and the actual display has been working brilliantly. But it's actually done just fine without a case. It actually made me wonder if I should be putting a case on my S23 Ultra at all. The thing that I really like is the fact that when you use it for emails, there's just something intrinsically nice about swiping to delete. So I've been processing and getting my inbox closer to zero than ever before as a result. For a productivity device, this is amazing. The UI itself lends itself to multitasking. You can just tap on an icon, drag it up to any position, and the app pairs make it a breeze to actually set up common custom shortcuts. So I've been using one where I've got email on one panel, calendar on the other, and the rostering app that we use just to make sure that I'm not double booking myself. That's a game changer because even on the laptop, it's not as easy just positioning the windows exactly where you want it. But on this, amazing. The screen itself on the inside has also been great for taking notes. I haven't done a lot, but you can like and subscribe. Writing with just my fingers has been relatively smooth. Again, I don't have an S Pen for this device, and the S23 one is not compatible. The other thing I've noticed is that this is like having a pocket tripod with you at any time because of the flex mode. Being able to rest it down and adjust the angles to exactly what you need to capture photos, especially nighttime shots, is amazing. I've left this on top of my car, pointed up at the sky, and taken some amazing Milky Way shots. You can also do what I call book mode, which is resting it like so on a surface so that you can get portrait shots, and that works just as well. One of the main things I do with my phones is capture content, and here's some camera samples between the S23 Ultra and the Z Fold 5. In my opinion, if you go pixel peeping, the S23 Ultra does come out slightly ahead, and it does have the higher resolution main sensor. This is no slouch, and I think for the average person, this would be more than enough. Watching content on this is a breeze. The inner screen is much larger and much more enjoyable. Even though it's not widescreen, I thought I would like it less because it's not really in a widescreen format with the bars. But what commonly happens is I'll have YouTube in the top panel with comments or something else on the second panel. Like if I see something interesting on YouTube, I'll start searching for it down below instead of having to wait or get distracted. So that's been a new way of watching and consuming media, which I didn't used to do. Gaming on it, I've only played a couple of basic games, but it is a lot more immersive with a bigger screen, so that's kind of nice. One thing to be aware is that for YouTube, because it's more of a square format, when you're watching content, you tend to unfold it like so, and then flip it on its side like so, which is not good or bad, it's just something different, and I didn't quite appreciate that the first time that I used it. But overall, I still think it's a very refined device that is finally ready for the mainstream. Would I change a few things on it? Yes, and here's what I would do. Firstly, as sleek as it is, I wish that it was just a hair thinner, but then I don't think I've noticed any difference between this and the S23 Ultra. The outer screen, if it was just slightly wider and closer to a normal cell phone, it would just mean that the keyboard experience would be a bit better. I don't actually mind the vertical height of the screen as much, but it's just the fact that the keyboard does feel a little bit cramped when you're typing on it. If that happened, the inner ratios would be slightly different as well and closer to widescreen. And I'm in two minds about this. On the one hand, the square format does lend itself to being able to multitask quite well, because then you have multiple narrow screens, but the widescreen would just make it a better media consumption device. I'm not sure if it's better one way or the other, but that I suppose depends on your use case. Number one thing that I would really like is an S Pen to be built in here. This is a productivity device. I expect that it will perform the best as like the S23. And the other thing would be the S Pen does not work on the outer screen, only on the inner one. And I take a lot of notes quickly on my S23 Ultra. So that's one feature that I'd really like to be able to pull out an S Pen and take a quick note on the outside screen. The camera is the other thing that I wish they would upgrade to be on par with the S23 series, but I realize that it's a hard ask to make something this sleek with 2 batteries and a folding screen and all the technology that goes into here with an S Pen. So where it is now is perfectly acceptable, but for a premium device that's costing $2,500 Australian dollars, I would expect the best of the best, and that would be a no-brainer then for me to change to it. One other thing is more of a tiny little gripe, if you like, is the fact that since this is something for productivity, I would use this for Zoom calls, and the actual form factor makes it perfect to sit on a table whilst you're interacting with your coworkers. Because you have an under-display camera, the images come out softer than even your traditional pinhole cameras like you have on the front. So one thing would be, as much as I love an under-display camera, maybe replacing it with just a pinhole. I think I would prefer the increase in camera quality. So, drum roll. What's my conclusion? I think that finally we are getting to the point where foldables are ready for the mainstream and they're going to be genuinely useful for most devices. Am I personally going to switch? No, because of two key things, which is the cameras are just a step behind S23, and for my customers and clients who are using my images, I just feel like I need to have the best camera with me, and that for me still at the moment is the S23 Ultra. The S Pen is another biggie. The main thing that I can't use is a very quick note to write it on the outside. Those are my wish lists for the future. Let me know what you think. So that's been my first 5 weeks with the Galaxy Fold 5. Let me know in the comments what you thought. Have you got one? Are you going to switch? For me, I'm sticking with the S23. And until then, here's a quick look at what my first impressions was in Unpacked. See you next time.